Hi everyone, it's Natalie here. Um, it's been a really interesting week, and it's been a really uh, quiet, relatively speaking, quiet week, and it's all going to change next week. The beautiful impermanence of everything, huh? Um, I don't know which order I'll put these on the channel in. But I went to the doctor, to my like naturopath doctor, and long story short, I've had a lot of like ongoing, inflammatory related issues, like I always seem to have in my videos. If I have close-ups of my hands, they always look like covered in eczema, although they're better than they have been. Um, and it often extends to like weird allergic reactions in my face, and my dermatologist managed to diagnose what was wrong, with, like what the dermatitis related stuff was. But my suspicion for a long time has been like, there's got to be something else that's underpinning this. And so I got that checked out, and I don't know if I have the list here or if it got moved already. Here it is. Okay, so like what? Everything. And some of it's really specific and some of it's like less specific. Like, GMOs, how do you define exactly what a GMO is, right? We all kind of know in theory what we think a GMO is, but technically speaking, anything that has been, anyway, it could cover a large range of different things. So we are looking at the possibility of having to let go of some things in the house, and that's not a bad thing here, believe me. So anyway, it's not permanent. I won't have to permanently be off of corn, wheat, gluten, soy, cheese, milk, etc. on and on. But for the time being, it's necessary. And I have to say, it's been 5 days, and I do feel a lot better. So there's something in that. Definitely something in that. So we'll see how that evolves. But in the meantime, I also can't wear silver jewelry, which is really weird for me, because I own so much of it. So I've had to go back to find things that are, that I've made that were, most of the jewelry I own is stuff that I make, but, these are both pieces I made, but it's, stuff that I used copper to accent instead of silver. So yeah, that's a big shift. It's a big shift. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about something really cool that just went down in addition to that, that is actually really good news, which is that I babysat the pottery studio for a friend of mine who is the regular pottery studio babysitter. That's not the right word. Wow, it's so funny when you do a video, suddenly the camera's on and you can't remember words. Anyway, monitor, the studio monitor. So she is the regular studio monitor and hasn't been able to do it as much on Sundays for a while because she's doing her Reiki training, her Reiki master training. And it requires several, Sundays worth of practice. So in exchange for my being there for a few hours to cover her on some Sundays, she gave me a gift card to Amazon. And it was great. I mean, it was really great. So I treated myself to a few things that were on my wish list. And among them was, and really high up on the list, I must say, the New Earth Tarot. And I really wanted the deck and the handbook. And I thought the only place I'd be able to get this was on Kate Silver's website, which is for Silver Dog. Or it's Silver Dog, I think it's Silver Dog Publisher. Okay, yeah, Silver Dog Press. So, and newearthtarot.com. So I thought that was the only place I could get it, and it actually turned out that it wasn't. I was able to get it on Amazon. She's got an Amazon shop. So that was really exciting because this had just gone from being like low on the list or like new to the list to being like, I really, really, really want this deck. The irony is that once I got it, the book and deck set, it is a fact that Kate Silver is actually a potter and a ceramicist and an artist. And so I feel like that's really reflected in her cards. That was a lot louder than I expected, pardon that. But the book is gorgeous. The New Earth Handbook, and there she is. And she's also a Zen practitioner, I believe. It's what it sounds like. I'm only just now digging into it. I'm not going to try and do a walkthrough yet because I'm going to do a, well, anyway, there's color pictures in here, of each of the cards. It is a round deck. And really within minutes of opening it, I felt so in love with this deck. I went and got, and I'm a fibers person. I could easily like make something, but when you just suddenly feel like I have to have this deck with me, it doesn't have its own box. The cards were wrapped and then just inside, the big box, which is really very empty and spacious. So if you can imagine, they were saran wrapped or like, but like inside there. So there's nothing really there supporting them. And so I needed to have something to carry, put them in so that I could carry them with me to work. And you know how it is. So here we go. And they're absolutely, they want to play. They're jumping out of my hands everywhere. There's our little Ace of Cups. They're just gorgeous. But, look at that. 7. So the pentacles are called mirrors in this deck. But, and here's the backs. And I just, oh my gosh, I'm so in love. The only thing I would say, and I'll mention this now because it'll probably go away later, is that there is like, I don't know how visible this is going to be. Yeah, you can kind of pick it up. There's this like roughness on the cards. And I knew like, I don't know, I think I remember seeing that from, maybe from Green Owl, Grüne Eule, talking about it and saying that like she would maybe try some sandpaper. I'm pretty sure that was her. And it's like it was, I was just finding one where it's really a lot. You can kind of see, yeah, there we go. Right here, there's this like nub, and it's kind of at all four, it's at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 6 o'clock on each of the cards. So that makes for kind of a rough, it just makes for a rough kind of shuffle on otherwise completely gorgeous cards. But anyway, I feel like this is one of the most underrated, really seriously underrated tarot decks I've ever come across. I really don't, I think aside from like one walkthrough online and Grunewala's her like walkthroughs of it, I don't know that I've seen any reviews even. So I really would like to do a review and work with it a little bit more. It's absolutely stunning. I can't even, like the card I was just showing here, that's the Four of Wands. And like many people who've had, who are motivated into creating a deck because they had some kind of, truly, life-changing, life-altering spiritual experience. It's just so apparent that that's absolutely where she's coming from. And I felt that in looking at her cards when I was just like looking at them online. But I also felt, I don't know, they just felt like I needed to have them. And where was I going with that? Like a lot of people who have had a really profound spiritual experience, and transformation, her deck really, she feels the freedom in her deck to redraw, reallocate, change the meaning of the cards a little bit, in order to reflect that, which I feel is definitely why either it's going to resonate with you or it's not. And I definitely feel like that's why some people have such a, a lot of people really have such a profound response to the Marielle Tarot, and, sometimes very good and sometimes very negative, or not negative, but they find it inaccessible, if that makes sense. This one is really this is not a dark deck by any means, and that's kind of unusual, I guess, for me on some respects, because I tend to really love, a little bit of darkness in my cards, but I feel like this one has enough, it doesn't need any more. And it's anyway, I could talk and talk and talk about it. It is so underrated. It's not even, I just don't know why there aren't more people who really love and use this deck. I think that's fair. I'm so geeked about it. And I love reading the books about where people are coming from when they create a deck, because I find it comforting. There's something in that I find deeply, deeply comforting in reading about that. And it does also help me really look at their imagery and connect to their imagery from a completely different place. And I tend to feel that way about artists in general anyway. I love listening to artists. I can listen to artists talk about their work until the sun comes home, or read about it, or read about authors talking about what inspired their writing. I struggle to listen to actors, because with actors, they're less inspired and more, generally, it's rare that they're talking about their work or accessing their work from a place of inner wisdom, or some kind of inner wisdom that's driving them. It's usually from a place of, just in my experience, and I've spent a long time in the theater, but both as an actor and as a director and a teacher, but it does seem to usually be from more of a place of really unmet egoic needs and wounds and wounding, finding ways to understand another person's experience in order to heal that wound, but with the less awareness of what's actually happening. My 2 cents. Anyway, so that was exciting, and it's exciting again to just read her journey and read about her experience and what drew her to creating the cards in the way that she has, and so forth. Additionally, I'm so gleeful. My other favorite round tarot deck, the Mother Piece. This is a great book. I learned more about where, at least where Karen Vogel was coming from with the Mother Piece, just by reading the acknowledgments. Really, like, the first page was like, wow, I know more about this deck than I ever expected to. It also led me to their website, and I got a great deal more out of the cards and out of their meanings and an understanding just by looking at the website too. But having the original author's words around what they were thinking and what's like inspiring the drawings, and I know that's a really very old school literary, intellectual approach, but personally, I can't shift into a more like intuitive open space until that intellectual need is satisfied. I don't know if that makes sense, but like once that's satisfied, I'm just checking time periodically because this is going to go on. But that makes me feel happy, to see where an author comes from or where a deck creator comes from. And it helps me then, take their images in, I guess, in a way that feels more authentic and pure, bizarrely, but that's also, probably partly my personality, probably partly, training in literature and training in theater, as an actor as well as a director and teacher, and just the curiosity. I can never get enough of learning about like what are other, especially where art and spiritual experience are concerned. What drove this? What is it that inspired the creation of this? And I'm not I don't I don't really want to hear a story about how enlightened somebody is, or, um, that tends to usually not be very authentic, amazingly. But when people are talking about having a profound experience that they can't quite explain, and the only way they can get to it, is through creating something um, that can't even really fully do it justice or touch it, but might come close, that's worth the conversation. And I'm going to learn something about the tarot and about the cards, and about what the experience was that influenced them, and then of course how to feel them, how to read them, um, so much more easily. They just start to speak, from that place and tell me who they are and how they want to work with me, and on and on. So this one, I have a feeling, I don't know yet, but I have a feeling that this one is going to become, for me, like, it's going to probably take a status like Marielle, or Tarot of the Spirit, or the Mother Piece. It's kind of way up there. So super geeked, super excited. Super geeked, super excited. Might have to get one of the other books as well, because this one's got some great information in it, and I will tear through it in no time. And so I'm kind of looking for something a little deeper, and I know they have a book, another one that they've written. Another one that I went ahead and sprung for was Kim Krantz's Animal Spirit deck and guidebook. I'm not going to go through them right now. I'm not going to go through any of them right now, but so excited about this. I did open it and pull them out. I closed it back up and then forgot to open it again. It's so beautiful. I so love the Wild Unknown Tarot. I know a lot of us do. And I have a thing with animals and nature. And this is, this as a way of connecting to elements and animals in the form of a deck is, I'm just so excited and geeked to work with it. I can hardly speak. I'm also really overwhelmed. This is a lot. It's a lot. It's like having a whole bunch of new friends that you totally love, and you met them on Facebook and they're the best thing ever, and then you go to a conference and show up and suddenly they're all there. And you're like, oh no, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time to see everybody, or this is gonna be intense. So I'm kind of feeling that way at the moment. And finally, I got the New Era Elements Tarot. And this one, I have to be honest, this one I'm going to do an unboxing of. I've kind of gotten off of unboxings because there's so many of them, and I'm starting to question why it is that we do that, right? By the same token, I did watch an unboxing and first impressions of this one. Pardon me, the allergies are insane right now. I did watch one from Ethany, and there was something about how visceral this deck is that really caught me. And so I'm going to do an unboxing of it and film it right after this one. And I'll probably try and put them up in order so that they're not out of order. Because, ew. Otherwise it feels weird. Anyway, yeah, there's something about, I don't know that this is going to be a reading deck. I think really this is more of a learning deck for me. We'll find out. A lot of decks I'm finding that I have right now are very much about learning, and I feel like that's okay. That's what books do, right? So, there we go. I also have been meaning to pull out and unbox this guy for some time. This one I've had probably since February, and I have not had a chance to meet and greet yet, and I really feel like this one needs a little bit more time and space to be able to get to know it. I forget that I keep meaning to also do a walkthrough of this deck. I don't think I've seen any walkthroughs of it, and this is another new deck that I got. It's been a while. I've had it for a little while, and I've just been getting to know it and learn it, but as a Tibetan practitioner, really to see, this one was the one sitting on my altar, to see deities portrayed like this in a deck is very exciting. It feels very, it just feels really exciting. It's a great opportunity. They're gorgeous. And this is a creator, an artist, Laura Shanti, who I've been, whose work I've been admiring on Etsy for some time now. So it was necessary. I felt like I really needed that for my practice. I'm also not someone practicing a depth year right now. I spend most years practicing a depth year. This year I'm practicing as I need them, I will get the tools I need to continue on my journey year. So that's where I am with it. That said, so there's that. There's so much happening. I've also been watching eBay for some time because I knew that I wanted, after filming, I think it was a VR to Simon, about my first tarot deck. I'd forgotten that my first actual deck was a Grimaud Tarot de, Ancien Tarot de Marseille, and I had one. It was in this sort of orangey red box, and I loved it, and I learned to read in a really, really, really specific way with it. And I've been curious in the time since I've come back to the tarot about how that might work, and with really interesting results. What I really learned about it was that I had a lot of integrating work to do on myself, because it had been so long since I'd read that way, and so long since I'd read tarot cards for anyone else, that what I found was actually really disturbing. I realized I had like a tarot part, that was older, or, as in that sort of personality subpart is something that came up a long time ago when I was in my 20s, and learning from older Gen Xers and, younger baby boomers about how to read. And their way of reading was really particular and involved a really particular voice, which I think is still a voice in the community. Not that I would ever knock that. But it was, I guess the way I want to put it is that it was a lot more careless and kind of, ego driven, and kind of like, I'm the psychic in charge here, so this is how I'm going to read. And I found it so disturbing that I thought, this is exactly what I needed to know. This is why I'm not ready to read for other people on a professional level yet. So instead, I've spent the time working on what's involved in that shadow, what's happening, where does that come from, how old is it, what does it need, what does it want, and just continuing to kind of nurture that, take care of it, and figure out, how do I integrate her back in, so that she's not there to take over anytime there's a tarot reading. Natalie's still in charge. But yeah, that probably sounded crazy. But if you have ever heard of the technique called internal family systems therapy, like internal, inside of you family systems therapy, it's pretty powerful stuff. I mean, transformative, life-changing, transformative stuff. Anyway, that said, in order to do that work, I knew I needed to find another one. And this is not the exact deck. I did find it on eBay, and it was from an antiques dealer in Canada, in Quebec. The guidebook was missing. It's not there. And the cards, I mean, they've barely been used at all. I mean, they are a little bit warped, which I don't mind, but they've barely been touched. I mean, they'd probably only been shuffled once or twice, and were mostly like still in order. And it's pretty much the same deck that I remember, which I found really exciting. Geek-worthy, geek-tastic. Yeah. So I think the backs might have been a little bit different, and the box was different, but I feel like the pictures were pretty much the same. This is definitely, obviously, a different printing of the same deck, but this was the deck I learned to read with. So I can really continue that work for myself, and understanding what was happening there. Oh boy, got some neighbors coming outside with a very excited dog. Yeah. So anyway, that's that. I could not believe how good of a condition these cards were in. Like, I really think that whoever had them, really was not using them. Like, maybe like I said, bought them, pulled them out a couple of times. Even the box is really not in bad shape. For a tarot box, like, I have a few that have just been around for a couple of months. And, I think it was whose was it? It was maybe the Trionfi della Luna Paradoxical. The box dropped on the floor. I didn't mean to do it. It just dropped, but it split. So I've had to try and find a way to handle it a little more gently so that doesn't continue as a problem. Anyway, so there's this one. And it's very exciting, but again, I haven't had a huge chance to work with it yet. I need to allow space. Otherwise it'll make me nuts. The other one, like, not literally nuts, but like, it's just too much. It's overwhelming. I really, really wanted very badly a Piatnik Tarot de Marseille. These are made in Austria. I believe they're even printed there. Seems like they were. Anyway, they're theoretically from 1984. That was what the antiques dealer wrote on there. I'm not really sure that that's true. A lot of times that's just not true. And really, Lisa from Mindful Tarot is in a much better position to answer those questions than I am, because I don't do enough of that research. But suffice it to say, anyway, they're absolutely gorgeous. They come with 2 different guidebooks, one in, I believe, French. Was it French? Maybe. Huh? One in French and one in English. Yes, one in French, one in English. Again, they're both from the same place and from the same household, I'm thinking. They smell like they're from the same household. Like, not in a bad way, just like you can tell. Some houses have a smell. But they're in perfect condition. They're not even warped. I mean, they came out of the box again, and I have shuffled them since, but they've barely even been, I always want to do that, and actually it's easier for me to go here. They've barely even been touched. And the card stock, I don't even know how to describe it. It's so delicious, and, I'm not familiar with cardstock in the way that some people are. Like, I'm not a cardstock connoisseur that can actually say this is, 330 GSM or whatever, because I don't know the difference. I genuinely don't. But I can tell you it is a very, like, slightly waxy, silky feeling. But closer to being gloss than, say, not like a US Games, it's just very different, and it's got a nice tooth. I would say it's got a really nice tooth. But I kind of find that I'm preferring this to, with its aged look, to the, to the Grimaud Tarot de Marseille. Oh, that 2 of Cups, I just love. Anyway, it's just stunning. It has, all the look and feel of, classic tarot deck. The shuffle is gorgeous. The tower nearly tried to pop out at me there. When I pick up a deck and I start to shuffle it, if it's one that I don't know very well, the tower wants to come flying out of the deck at me. And that is how the deck lets me know, like, hey, I realize that it's you that's driving. And it's probably would be unsettling for a lot of other people, but I don't know. For me, I just find it kind of charming. I was sitting in front of the TV one night a few weeks ago, and if you're even watching this long into this interminable video, and found that this is far too long. I think it was with my Mother Piece deck. I was it was a full-size one. I was shuffling and shuffling and shuffling. It was brand new. Right out of the box, shuffle, 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 just sitting watching some kind of a film with my partner. And as we were sat there, 2 cards independently popped out and just leapt, like they just flew out of the deck in my hands, landed on the floor in front of me. and it was the Tower and the Wheel of Fortune. And I'm in a Wheel of Fortune year, and I don't want to say that the Tower is my card. It's just that since I've picked up again, on this journey, like the Tower, having been through that kind of transformation and transformative experience, it has a different level of significance and familiarity and beauty to it than it ever did. And I used to be terrified of it, but I really don't feel that way anymore. Anyway, I just had to share that. I thought that was funny. That's really it. I'm just excited. I got a lot of new toys, and I just wanted to show my toys. So sometimes you have to show your toys, right? So, yeah, I hope everyone's doing well, and I hope to talk to everyone again soon. All right. Thank you.